Hi yogis, and welcome to your week 14 practice. This week we are going to be working on heart openers. So it's going to be releasing and relaxing the upper part of your chest, and it's going to bring a little bit of relief as well to your upper back. So even if you're not pregnant, this is a great practice. It's going to really help ease you into some heart openers. So even though we're not going to go into a full back bend, we're still going to really have a nice gentle opening across the chest. So for today's practice, you need to have a few tools, a phone or a timer, something so that you can set your time for your relaxation at the end, a strap, and a bolster or a pillow. So go ahead and come to your mat, a nice easy seat, legs crossed at the shins. Rest your hands on your knees. If you're feeling a little tired, you can place your palms face up to help cultivate some energy, or if you need to feel a little grounded, place your palms face down. Roll your shoulders up and then back onto your back so that your shoulder blades are sitting on your back, starting to really expose the chest and have a nice tall posture. Hips in line with shoulders, not sticking your butt out too much or curving your back. And having a concave spine. So sit up nice and tall, like we do every practice. Close your eyes and start to focus inward. Taking the time to realize your inhale and your exhale, starting to see that they are the same length. Maybe taking your inhale and exhale just through your nose. Using the breath as a tool to really bring you to the present moment. You've given yourself the time and the gift that you can come and practice. Do something good for yourself that will help better your day. So really settle into now and let go of any worries or any to-do lists. Gently flutter your eyes open. Take your right arm up and overhead. You're going to bend it and place your palm on the small of your back. Left hand's going to come up and grab onto your elbow. Gently stretch your tricep. And release both hands. Same thing to the other side. Left arm comes up and over, touching the small of your back, of your upper back. And then grabbing onto your left elbow with your right hand. Grab for your strap, and we're going to start on the right side again. So right arm goes up and behind. You can take your strap and place it in your right hand. Left hand this time is going to go behind your back and grab onto the strap with your other hand. So from behind, it looks like this. As you're here, start to take your right elbow and shoulder back so that you're opening up your chest and sitting up tall, using the strap as a little bit of leverage. As you pull your elbow and shoulder back, you want to make sure to release your shoulder down your back as well. Gently let go of the strap. Same thing on the other side. Left hand up and bends. Grab for your strap. And if you find that one side is more flexible than the other, maybe you don't need a strap. That's the case for me. So if you have a little bit more flexibility on this other side, you can start to reach for your fingers and see if you can't clasp your fingers. If you do have your fingers, it's the same action with your elbow. Open and take the shoulder blade down the back. Hold there and breathe. And gently release the hands. Come on to all fours. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And we're going to inhale, expose the heart forward, drop the belly down. Exhale, head gets heavy as it comes into your chest, pelvis comes in toward your face as well. Inhale, cow pose, stretch the belly. Exhale, cat. And one more time, inhale, cow. Feel your spine start to move, your body move with the breath. Exhale, cat pose. And come to a neutral spine, keeping your knees bent at this height and your hips stacked over your knees. Start to crawl your hands forward into extended puppy dog. You can rest your forehead on the mat and keep reaching those arms, the palms forward. Energy all extends forward. Feeling a nice stretch in your upper back. Walk your hands back to all fours. Tuck your toes, and then lift your hips and take a downward facing dog. We're not going to do too many downward dogs today, but it's always nice to come back to a basic. And slowly walk your hands back to your feet. Once you're here, take your feet hips distance apart. Remember, you need to make enough space for baby. Gently bend your knees, especially if you have a little bit tighter hamstrings. And then grab onto your big toes with your peace fingers, your first two fingers. As we're here, we're going to inhale, heart comes forward, gently gaze forward, grow long through the sides of the torso. And then exhale, fold down, elbows come out to the side, and torso starts to lay on your thighs. While you're here, you can shake your head yes and no. Let go of any tension that you're holding on to in your neck. One more time, inhale, grow tall through the torso. And then exhale, release the feet. Grab for your strap, and you're going to take your strap behind you and grab it with both hands. While you're here, then you're going to start to take your arms up and overhead. With your arms up toward the ceiling, take your shoulders away from your ears, creating more space. If you feel that you might have a little bit more flexibility and you don't need the strap, you can try that as well. Palms clasp, and then take your hands up toward the ceiling. Shoulders release away from the ears. Take your knuckles toward your back. Release your hands to the floor. And then roll all the way up, one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Great. Come, stand wide on the mat. We're going to take our right leg, and from deep within the hip socket, turn your leg to face the short edge of your mat. So your knee points in that direction, your toe points in that direction. Take your back leg nice and wide. Drop your heel back slightly so that your toes are at a bit of an angle. And then you're going to bend your front knee to about a 90-degree angle. Take your elbow to your thigh and reach your arm up toward the ceiling. Hold here for a few breaths in side angle pose. Really thinking about creating a firm base as your front foot grounds down into the mat. The big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and the heel are all evenly distributed with your weight. And then the pinky side of your back foot is flush against the mat as well. You can choose to stay here, or turn your palm so that it faces behind you, rotating the whole arm deep in the socket. And then take your arm behind you so that you start to reach for this little hole here. And once you get that, then you're going to roll your shoulder back and look up at the ceiling. So this is what it looks like from behind. Your arm is behind you, and then you roll open. If this arm reach is too much for you, you can keep your hand on the small of your back, keep your hand on your hip, but still start to turn your torso open toward the ceiling. As you're here, really keep an eye on your front knee and make sure it's not buckling in. A few more breaths. And then come to a standing position. Turn both toes forward. Shake out your shoulders a little. And then take the same thing to the other side. Left leg turns deep from within the hip socket. Toes point toward the short end of your mat. Knee points in the same direction. Take your back heel back slightly. Bend your front knee at a 90-degree angle so that your knee is directly in line with your second toe. Left elbow to your thigh, right arm up toward the ceiling. Find your base. Your feet are evenly pressing into the mat, making sure not to lift the pinky side of the back foot. Taking your right pelvis, your right hip bone, and really scooping it under. That way your bottom's not too sassy and out to the side. Turn your right palm to face behind you, and then rotate it toward the small of your back, or find that little hole and rotate your torso open. As you do this, remember to keep sinking your hips down, keeping a 90-degree or close to 90-degree angle in your front leg, and that front knee is still pointing forward. Hold here and breathe. Press all the way up to stand. Turn your toes, and then just walk your feet back to center. Come and face the top of the mat. And reach your arms up and overhead, and exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hip. Come all the way down with a flat back. Walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Hold here for a few breaths, stretching out the upper back, releasing the neck if it's gotten a little bit tight. Gently lower your knees to the mat, and then sit on your heels. So some alternatives to a back bend, if you're in a yoga class and they start to do upward facing bow or any kind of back bends, anything where you have to lay on your tummy, you can do some gentle back bends. So this is one that I really love. Sitting on your heels, take your palms and clasp them behind you, making sure your back is straight and you're not curving forward too much, because we have a tendency to do that while we're pregnant. Really take the buttocks flesh down. As you take your knuckles down to your feet, roll your shoulders up again, and then back onto your back. From here, you'll feel some opening across your chest, a little bit of a back bend. You can release your neck down if you'd like a stretch in your neck, or gently take your gaze up. The trouble with taking your gaze up is that sometimes it's easy to just drop your head back, and that's going to strain your neck, your upper back. So just keeping your gaze gentle and easy and not really pushing it to the limit is where we want to be. Holding it for another breath. And releasing the hands. So your option is to stay there, or if you'd like to try and go a little further, come onto your knees. Take your knees about hips distance apart. Place your palms on your lower back, push your hips forward, and then take your shoulders again back, exposing the heart, opening the chest, and look slightly up at the ceiling. Keep the elbows tucked in close. Don't let them split out to the side. And then come up and sit back on your heels, release the lower back. So that's your level 2. If you'd like to stay at level 2, that's great. If you'd like to try and move a little further back, we're going to do that next. Remember to always stay at the level that you feel comfortable and confident with. You're pregnant, so there's no need to really push yourself to go further than you feel comfortable. So choosing your level, palm clasp behind your back, hips forward, or start with your hips forward, and then start to reach down for your ankles, lifting your chest, rolling your shoulders back. Remembering to breathe, controlling the head but releasing it up toward the ceiling. And to come out, you go back the way you came. Palms into your lower back, push up to a kneeling position, and then sit back on your heels. Good job. Next, we're going into bridge pose. So flip around, come onto your back. And knees stay bent. Feet are about hips distance apart. Hands come down to the mat. You want to keep your feet really close to your sit bones, almost to the point where you can touch them. As you press in through your feet and you place your shoulders firmly on the mat, lift your hips up to the ceiling for bridge pose. Take your hands, grab the outsides of your mat, and then spin your knuckles under so that your thumbs point up toward the ceiling. Again, spreading through your collarbones and holding here in a modified bridge. This is another great option to do when a class goes on to a back bend. It's also an inversion, so it helps to energize you and gets the blood going the opposite direction. Gets all the blood rushing to your head, which we like. We like all that fresh blood coming into our brains. Release the mat, lay your hands at your side, and then one vertebrae at a time, gently roll down, starting with the upper back all the way down to the pelvis. Nice. Okay, grab for your bolster and set your bolster up on your mat longwise. Take your hips back to meet your bolster, and then gently lay back onto your pillow or your bolster. Feet can stay bent knees can stay bent with your feet on the mat if this is comfortable for you. And you just release your shoulders to the side, palms lay wide out from your body, palms facing up, arms relaxed, really using the bolster for support. If you'd like to go into a little bit more of a heart opener here, you can release your feet down to the floor so that your legs are relaxed, toes turn out. And then just breathe. Releasing any ujjayi or yogic breathing that you've been cultivating during this practice. And just breathing normally. If you'd like to set a timer, feel free to set your timer however long you have today. And then settle right back down into your shavasana. Feeling the bolster support your weight. Feeling how it helps open your chest. Letting your legs get heavy on the mat and your feet get heavy on the mat. Feeling completely supported and open. And this is the point where I invite you to stay here into your shavasana, your meditation, for as long as you'd like. Really